Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Lawanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And Jason is out this week, but he'll be back with us for the finale, I'm sure. So Jason, we're going to hold it down for you. This week, guys, we are talking about PowerBook 2. This is season 1, episode 9, titled Monster. So if you guys hang on, we'll be right back.
Busy in where the last one burnt you, know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. You can't trust that I won't.
All right, guys, we're back. And like I said, we're talking PowerBook 2. This is the episode right before the finale. So next week we got a big one. Yeah. And Tiffany, we didn't get to say that. We talked about this off camera, but Jason gave you your props, behind the scenes for, telling him that as the season progressed, things are gonna start heating up. And you were right.
See, I meant to make him repeat that on camera. Next week when he comes back, I'll make him repeat.
It's too bad he's missing this show because this is a good show.
To you,
This is a great.
I told y'all about the power formula.
This is a great show for him to be missing. But hey, we all got to miss it some point.
This is a good episode.
Yes, this was one of my favorite episodes. It felt like it was longer than an hour. I was like, hold up, is this a 2-hour episode? Because it felt like it was just so much in that little time frame. I did enjoy it though.
I did too. Last week too. So it was just,
Yeah, it's scaling upward, right? And that's a good thing.
Yeah. So this week I want to talk about Tariq first, because this episode Monster is kind of focused on him and his reckoning with himself, realizing that he is a monster.
Enough, it goes back to Tamika in episode 1 when she called Ghost. The monster. So it's a good tie-in between, and I think it's also something we can actually take into consideration. Is he a monster?
Well, that's the thing, because first of all, I don't even know. Should we jump in right here? Because it's going to tie into other parts of the storyline.
No, I mean,
but
go ahead. I mean,
take it away.
He's like Ghost. Was Ghost a monster for real? What do y'all think?
The classroom, when they were discussing the Frankenstein book, it was interesting to hear Tariq's comments because it was twofold. It was, first of all, his own, I guess he was dealing with the fact that, like sometimes it's people see you as a certain way and they have their own perceptions. But what about how you were treated that turned you into the monster? And so I seen that with Tariq, not so much, but I seen it for other people for sure. Like definitely Ghost. Like sometimes circumstances, and Kane for sure. Like your circumstances will force you to be somebody that you're not. Even down to Drew this episode where he kept telling Monet, like, this is not what I want. And she's like, this is what you have to be. So, people can turn you into monsters. The reason that Tariq kind of irked me this week is because Tariq, your parents to an extent are culpable in how you turned out, but you made the decision to be in this world. They tried to shield you from it.
He was privileged.
He was.
He was privileged, and I guess what he's saying basically is because his parents lied to him and weren't honest, that enraged him, which created the person that he is. Although I don't see that as an excuse. Not when you have everything at your feet and you have nothing, that you don't want for anything. You have everything that you need and everything that you want. So I'm excused from that thought process.
Yeah.
If I remember Frankenstein, I don't recall the creator mistreating him. What he was basically trying to do is cultivate him into society in a sense, but he knew he couldn't because of the hideousness of the monster. And so that begged into question what Tariq said when he said, is it because of how you were treated? And if he was certainly drawing that to his own manner, the own manner with how he was treated, I didn't get the parable.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Lawanda.
I'm kind of with Ron that Tariq in his situation indicates his argument because he was not so-called put in a situation where that was the only choice he had. So it didn't necessarily make him a monster. He chose that route. Whereas you look at maybe Ghost and Tommy, maybe they had less opportunity than he did, right? So they took that path, but his father took that path as a way out so he wouldn't have to do that, right? So, I mean, I guess if we're looking at this, because what's going to automatically come up is Cain, right? And is Cain a monster?
Yeah.
Was his environment, did that produce the social path that we now see that we have to continue?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
He is.
And that was exactly my point too.
Go ahead.
Now I was gonna say,
Well,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was like, Cain is a monster. But he said to Monet, he was like, but you made me this way, which is true. She put a lot on Cain and she did make him that way.
But that's a good point, because then we get to talk about the difference in the parenting, right? Because both Tasha and both Monet have sent their sons to kill people, right? And Monet has even driven her son in the car to do it, right? And did it alongside of him. So, I mean, you look at that and you could say in a certainly in Cain's instance, she did create that. She fostered that. Tasha is doing that too, because she sent Tariq on these errands to kill people before. This is the second time she's done it.
Listen, I'm like, you're in a bang because you're fighting the queen pin charge. And you saying you're not a queen pin, but you're making queen pin calls behind the bars.
Hello.
Those are queen pin calls to send him out to take somebody out.
But
this week, Tasha is on my get the hands list. I don't know about y'all, but Tasha got to get the hands for that move. Because like you said exactly what you said. She's contradicted herself by her actions. And then on top of that, like I like what Courtney said, you sent your son to do this because you know he's a killer. Like you putting all of this pressure on him to pay for your lawyer and all of that stuff. And on top of that, you're going to add this pressure for him to kill somebody. Not only is that going to put him in trouble with the law possibly, but that weighs on his conscience.
But I like what he did.
She should know that because she did the same thing to Keisha.
But I like what Tariq did, which to me represented the fact that he's not a monster because he elected another way out. Whereas Cain would have been happy to put a bullet through that woman, between that woman's eyes. He chose to listen to what she was saying, and then he took money that he needed to, pay out. But
think about it too, though, because I think the experience with Keisha is kind of what he was echoing, because he asked Epiphany, "Is your son here?" I think he thought about that situation that Tasha did and was like, "Nah, I don't think I want to go down that path. If there is a way out, then let me just take the heat from Monet. I'm gonna give you this money, and I'll deal with Monet later."
And that's big heat, because what he was basically understanding was he could be killed by Monet.
Yeah, he was accepting it at that point when he went, because you can see how all of his experiences flashed before him, and he was owning up to everything in that moment. He was prepared to die. I think in that moment when he went to see Epiphany, he reminded me of Ghost, because that's what Ghost would have done. He would have made the choice to either pay, like most of the time that's what Ghost would do. If he didn't take you out, he would pay you off. He offered Keisha money to get out of town. He offered Holly money to get out of town. He was like, you leaving one way, get one way or the other. And that is Ghost MO. So he is more like his father than he.
Which is why Ghost was never a monster to me. He was just a man that had to do what he had to do.
Except for Ghost had his selfish ways sometimes. Like Ghost would not opt to be taken out by, his supplier like Tariq did. And, I knew Tariq had made that decision when he was on the phone with Tasha, and he was like, I'm not going to have to testify. He, like you said, Tiffany, he had settled with the fact that she going to kill me over this.
I think Tariq has put himself in a corner where, those growing pains are coming a lot faster than he thought. And, without the organization behind him, or without a good organization, he's going to get his hands dirty. And I think he realizes that I think he's beginning to see for the first time that he may be a bit over his head.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting how he thinks this through from this point on, because remember, Monique said, you and I aren't through. So this is going to be interesting how he thinks through all of this, because he's got heat on him.
Well, did you hear when he told Monet, like he mentioned his dad, he was like, even my dad. Do you think Monet realized that in that moment, like, you killed your daddy?
She's gonna delve into that because that piqued her interest. She was like, what did you say about your father? I think she's gonna end up finding out who Ghost is. That's the beginning of her learning who Ghost is. It's gonna come out. And I think he's bought himself some time too. Yeah, he still owed her money and stuff, but she saved Diana's life. Tariq has come up big on several occasions. He saved her life. He saved her life, because if it wasn't, DC Joe was getting ready to take her out. Like, he knocked her down, and then once Tariq came upstairs that distracted him, she was able to shoot him and stuff. And then he helped Drew get rid of the body. Tariq has come up big.
However,
and he making her mad money. So they'll figure it out.
We know that being a drug dealer and being in that street life is a thankless job. So it's kind of like, you signed up for this. This is what you got to do.
Yeah,
so I don't know if Monet is going, like, she seems like she's taking it into consideration, and she definitely showed him some mercy. But like she said, it ain't over.
But she's gonna need him now. She's gonna need him, because when she realizes the totality of the situation that she's in, that she's lost her supplier, she's gonna need Tariq more than ever, because she doesn't have Kane now, so she's got to figure out another way.
And Drew,
and she doesn't have Drew.
But even Drew told her, and I think this is where the problem is with Monet and company. He actually said, we need more help. And they do. You know, I know you want to keep it in the family, but you got to expand yourself, because you can't do everything. And that's where mistakes are made. And frankly, I think that's where mistakes were made with Kane.
Yes.
But Drew, I think Drew made a mistake by going and telling Kane that, and telling him that, because if you paid attention to that scene, the girl that Kane was sitting at the bar with,
she was listening. She was
hustling, and then she told what's his name, Guap, that's not Guap.
It is Guap.
She told Guap that, so I think that's how he went to DC Joe and gave him that inside information, which is how he got the deal in the first place, right? I don't know if Kane knows all of that, is picking up all of it, or had even time to question, well, how did he know? You know, how did DC Joe know all of this to decide that now he wants to do business with you instead of Monet?
Well, I was wondering if it's because Rico has been sitting up here, like Monet said, he's been asking questions, and he's wondering, like, where's DC Joe? So that's why she gave Tariq his coat to push. He had to get rid of it in order to make sure that money still shows up to Rico. But on the other side of that, I think that it's not necessarily that Rico is like trying to cut her out. I think that, now he is for sure, but I think that Lil Guap went to him and was like, hey, we trying to do our own thing. And the fact that Monet was already looking shady, he was like, you know what, perfect opportunity, because you've already stolen all her corner boys anyway, so what's she gonna do without them?
Well, plus Kane put it out there that he wasn't messing with Monet no more, because Guap said to Kane, he said, I thought this what you wanted about the Monet being out the picture. So it was
being out the picture, but not
he got the picture from Kane that, you know, I'm through with her. I'm out. I'm not messing with my mom no more. So Guap probably carried that back to Rico, and that's why Rico and them thought it was okay, because Kane has been the muscle. And that's why they were mad when Diana slapped him, and she was like, it's because you weren't here. They were trying to take advantage of Monet because she's a woman.
Yep.
Kane is the muscle. And as soon as they knew that Kane wasn't he was out the picture and he was working with Guap, they made a move on her.
That's true.
Yeah, but if that had been successful, you would have taken out the whole family. And I don't know how that would have dealt with Kane to lose his brother, sister, and his mother. You know,
that's what we keep saying. He doesn't think,
or
because he thinks and it doesn't come to the right conclusion or something. Like,
and that's the problem with him. He lacks foresight. Like, he doesn't ever consider what's going to be the consequences of his actions. So, with Kane, I guess what I wanted to say about him is, I don't think that he necessarily wanted Monet dead, and he doesn't consider the consequences of his actions. So when he's sitting up here saying, like, I'm not fooling with her no more, and he might be telling that to Guap might be thinking, oh, so you want her dead. Like, we got to erase her because we know she's not just going to go away. And that's why I'm like, is he really considering like what he's saying versus how somebody else is interpreting that?
Right.
The other question is he really considering Guap? I mean, he said to Drew that Guap is
Loyal.
but you know, he's also crazy. And you know, I don't know if I could trust him. You know, because I think when it comes down to it, Guap is going to be about Guap. And if he has an opportunity,
This is loyal.
I know that word surprised me too. I was like, and he showed this win.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I said.
like,
I was like, Kane is not the, you know.
Yeah, he's not a thinker at all. I mean, you know, brain matter does not flow very well through Kane's between his ears. So I'm not understanding what he's talking about Guap being loyal. He should have had a bullet in his head.
Exactly. And you know, I felt so bad for Kane though this episode because last week we seen Diana have to send him away through Monet, gave him the money, told him to get out of town. This week, Monet had the gun to his head, first of all, when she was telling Kane to take Drew to the hospital. Then when they were at the hospital, she was like, this is my last time telling you, go away or you gonna make me have to do it myself.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, like, and that's when he was having like pleading with her and she was not hearing. I felt bad for him.
Okay.
I felt bad for him in that moment too, because ultimately this was a mother rejecting her child.
Okay, I got it. Just like I went to Zeke and I said I had to see a basketball in his hand. Okay, Monique, you brandished Monet, you brandished that gun more times than I care to want to see you with a gun in your hand. Now I want to see you use it. Either use the damn thing.
She used it on DC Joe.
Okay, use it again, damn it. Either use the gun or stop brandishing that gun every time you think you want to kill somebody. You know, it's like she gets her in her feelings, and the first thing she wants to do is pull out her piece. Look, either
I think she's so frustrated with him though. She's like, I want to off you, but you my son.
They say never point a gun unless you plan to use it, never use it unless you plan to kill, because stuff come back to you. So if you're gonna shoot the man, shoot the man. But stop with this waving this damn gun every time. I'm sick of it.
Now I have a question for you guys though, because if Kane had made it in time to warn Monet, do you think he could have redeemed himself? Because we've seen how she has shown mercy for Tariq in certain instances. Do you think she would have lent that same mercy to her son Kane if he had showed up on time to warn her so that they could get out of the way before the shooting went down?
I think so.
It's hard to tell because at the end of the day, yes, she would be grateful that he saved her life, but it is because of him that
it is because of him.
All of this is happening because of him.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And that's
But then they need a small army. I mean, you're not going to be this big drug kingpin, queenpin in New York, and just the 4 of you, the 5 of you. It's not going to work. You need an army, because that what we saw should never have happened.
Okay, and so I guess the final straw with Kane this episode is in his anger, he went to meet with Ramirez about killing Tariq. And Ramirez basically was like, Monet needs me now more than ever. There's no point in killing Tariq at this point. And he ended up getting off because of, not siding with Kane. And so it just goes back to his just impulsiveness and not thinking it through, because I think Courtney mentioned this in the after show. You killing the one person that you needed the most.
Yeah. Yeah. I always thought he was gonna kill Ramirez.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it was just a matter of time.
Yeah, because just
the biggest.
Yeah, early on when she said, Monet was like, "Oh, Kane can't see you here" and stuff, and when he was like, "Well, what is he doing here?" Like the dynamics, I felt like the stage was set at the very beginning. I was like, ultimately, he's gonna get rid of Ramirez.
Yeah, but we got to look at the outcome of that. One, it's the heat that you're gonna bring on the family now that they're gonna be searching for who murdered this cop. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, this is your inside man, your protection, your get out of jail free card, right? So it's just like in his anger, he's done himself such harm, he's done the family such harm, and it's like this. If there was any chance for forgiveness, there is forgiveness after this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because Monet, I mean, he took her piece. He took her little love thing, whatever you want to call it, it's all
But
gone now.
protection more than anything, like we talked about, this is a thankless job. When you get into this career, you're putting your life on the line, right? So you're always hedging your bet. You're doing everything you can to make yourself, one, to protect your freedom and to protect your life. Cain has destroyed all of that and put everyone at risk. You can't, I don't know, he can't come back from that.
So
yeah, especially with Zeke. They were really trying to keep the business away from Zeke. And now Zeke is all involved. Carrie's trying to get him to talk to the police.
Let's talk about that. Oh my goodness, Carrie.
So what do you think about Monet going up into Carrie's office, waiting on her until she got?
I was here for it. I was here for it. I was like, get that chick together. And especially when she said it's not appropriate. She's like, appropriate. I was like, oh, like how appropriate is it of you to be sleeping with this student and you don't have the nerve to talk about what's appropriate?
One thing I can say, Monet has a nose like a daggone bloodhound. Because she can sniff out anything. And, and I was like, dang, Monet, you even got that down, So I don't know.
Game.
I loved Mary's performance this week. She had me scared. I was shook for Carrie.
Mary put it down this week. And I gotta say, I know a lot of people like Effie. And they think that Effie is like perfect for Tariq because she the best of both worlds with her. And I like Effie, but I like Diana. Diana. I like how she's sweet and innocent, and she's been coming through clutch.
But you can't have them both, and I take Effie.
No. I'm not asking him to have both, but I'm just saying I think the problem is the family. The family.
Diana is loyal. Effie is
sweet and innocent.
I think
Effie was snitching on him last week.
Soon as she got mad at Tariq, she gave up the tape.
But I think he can control Effie. It's just that Effie wants to be a part of him, and that could be a problem, because she wants to be closer to him than where he wants her, and that could be a problem. But I think if he wanted to control Effie, he can. But and what I simply mean by that, and I don't mean in the male-female relationship way, I simply mean that if you're going to include her. You can't be telling her little bits and pieces because she's too smart for that.
That's true.
And then when she comes out and realizes that you've only given half the story, now she wants to chop you up. So he
can't help it because that's what Ghost did. Ghost always kept people in the dark, and he told them what he wanted them to know. He is just like his father.
You gonna push me to just fight with this ghost?
Well, I don't know where that's gonna go. I mean, Tariq did apologize this week to Effie, and so he's back in good graces with her, it seems like. But he might have redeemed himself in Diana's eyes too, because now she knows that note in his backpack wasn't about him sleeping with a teacher.
Right.
So I mean, Tariq got it going on. He got options out here.
Yeah, he does. Well, that's what I mean about Diana. Diana has come through in the clutch for Monet with, pertinent information. Like she was the one that said, oh, I did see that he had a note in there about a professor speaking with a teacher. She was the one that told Monet about course correct. She told Monet he had a gun. Like Diana has been coming through in the clutch for Monet, like being her mouthpiece and things like that and stuff. And so she's real innocent and stuff. But on the other hand, she's, she in a
total. But that's where Tariq got to draw the line though, because he's mixing business and pleasure on both ends with Effie and with Diana. So it could trap him up in both places. And I think Lauren really messed it up for herself this week when she was talking about him. I can't deal with a murder and drug dealer deserved to be in jail. I was like, woo.
Yeah, I was like, it's a wrap for you. It's a wrap for you.
Yeah, I don't think he was feeling Lauren after the last couple episodes.
He can't be himself for Lauren.
Right, because Lauren really didn't say anything against his mom. And to her point, there are some drug dealers that need to be behind bars. She was right. And she wasn't saying that it's your mom that needs to be behind bars.
But he happens to be a drug dealer and a murderer. So I can see how he would take that personally.
Okay, so he needs to know that, because you can't have both worlds now. You either
but that's why I say she's not the one for him. Like,
Exactly. I agree. That's why I like Effie.
It's so funny because I was listening. There was Nick Cannon has his YouTube show, Cannon's Class, and he was having this conversation I think her name is Melina Muhammad. I don't want to, I really don't want to mess up her name, but they was having this conversation, right? And they were talking about this. Is the person who commits the crime the criminal, or is the society that creates the conditions for the person to be in that need to do that criminal, right?
That's way too philosophical. I mean, you know.
But this the whole point of that discussion in class, but we could talk about it in this, you know, that
so you're saying
we step back from it, right? We step back from it. And we're looking at what's going on with the DNC and how they're involved in this trial to put Tasha in jail, regardless if she did it or not.
Right.
Okay, so this is the system, right? So it's almost like you're to fully participate in this system, you have to be a criminal to do it right, because the system is criminal in and of itself. We see that playing out. You have a U.S. attorney working along with the defendant's attorney, and it's That's okay. Crazy. We just go blackmail each other. This is how we get down. The whole thing is corrupted. All of it is criminal, right? So I think Tariq probably has a more realistic view of what this is than the people sitting in this class having this philosophical conversation, but they're only seeing it, you know, theoretically. He's dealing with the real of it, right? So it's almost like I trust Tariq more in this, even more than his professors, because the professors are corrupt. They're violating all kind of rules.
Oh my goodness!
Right?
What's Sachs, the other attorney that's on behind Davis even said it's not really about the truth, coming to the truth. It's about how the truth sounds. So here we are, and you're right. I mean, it's you know, our judicial system really doesn't care about the truth. It only cares about how the truth fits into their
what they can prove.
And how about us realizing this week that Carrie is a former prosecutor? And I'm like, girl, you definitely should have known better then.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. I'm like,
you definitely violating on all types of levels.
Oh yeah,
all types of levels.
Maybe that's why
her instincts to me are off too, because to violate the confidence that Zeke shared with her and not really thinking about, one, how that's going to reflect on him, how that's going to affect the school if their star athlete gets in trouble or is associated with this in any kind of way. I mean, just on that threatens her position there, right? Once you involve Zeke in this and a murder on campus, like even if he was playing at the time and couldn't have done it, if you show that he has some kind of association or affiliation to the person who did that, then you jeopardize the school's program and the school's reputation. So I was just like, I don't know where her brain is.
Listen, can I piggyback on that? When you say like she's just off in her thinking, because now we know she was a prosecutor. Her instincts, when she had the vigil for Ghost and invited him, like, if you're a former prosecutor and you still have access to these things and information, or maybe even have contacts, the federal investigation that Ghost was on, the speculation that he might be Ghost, all of that stuff, and you're like having this public vigil and want Tariq to partake and everything, like she definitely has bad judgment. Not there anymore, huh?
I think that's why she's a former prosecutor.
Right. And then we seen Laz Alonso coming in on this episode playing Santana. And back to what LaWanda was saying about the system kind of being rotten at its core, because he was even, you know, trying to pre-select all the Black and brown students and stuff from like a certain neighborhood that fit the profile. And it's like, I mean, we just can't win.
But then Carrie comes out and recognizes that and puts, you know, and rightfully puts him in his place. But
and Jabari did. Jabari was the one to check him.
No, but she even said, "Oh, I see. So you wanted all the you know, she equated, you want to talk to all the Black and brown kids." I know what and so what I'm saying is, she while she's noticing that, but then you turn around and trust the police and want Zeke to go to the police to talk about the incident that happened after the game. I mean, she should know better that once Zeke starts to talk, it's over. He's implicated whether he did anything or not, or whether he was the cause of it or not.
And the thing is, she mentioned to Santana also that Zeke she didn't say Zeke, but she said some of the basketball team members had gotten jumped at the club. Right. And so it's like, and she mentioned that, I mean, he asked, like, she said it was by a gang, and they said, well, was it, do you know what gang? And then they kind of cut to the next scene. And so that's already letting me know that she said too much. And that's when Monet paid her the visit. So now next week, she's going to have to go and backtrack her statements. So I'm just like, she really just screw things up a lot.
And you know what was interesting about that exchange? That both Carrie and Jabari stood up and said, you know, you're not going to profile our students. And then Jabari says, and I'll help. And I'm the advisor for the minority students. So I'm like, so are you going to serve these minority students that you advise up?
Listen, I had two thoughts about that. First, Jabari is, you know, he wanted to stay close so he could finish writing his book. But number two, he was once again being a hater.
Yes,
because
of course.
He saw that Liza, he was blocking. He saw Liza Alonso look like he was a little interested in Carrie. And he was like, oh no, I'm working on the task force too. I'm like, you're such a hater.
Bulldog. I mean,
I peeped that.
He's too cute to be that insecure.
It really is. But Liza is fine. So he should have been worried.
He is the consummate cock blocker. He is. I mean, to tell you, it is funny to see him just go into action. He can smell it. He can smell it out of mouth.
Yeah, he's a hater. I mean, he really is insecure.
Prime example why you should never date your coworker.
Hello.
Oh yeah, hello.
Don't mix business and pleasure.
Got that right. Don't.
And if you do, see Jabari's picture. That should be a good reminder.
Well, now I want to get into this whole ordeal with Saxe and Davis and Epiphany. You know, Tariq found out early in the episode that Davis had hired this star person to come on and testify. And so he was trying to call him about money to pay him later so that he could pay off 2Bit, but he ended up finding out that there was this witness that Davis wants to call in. And so, of course, we later find out that it's Epiphany. And Saxe and Davis get caught up at her house because Steven has hired the investigator to go and take pictures. So those pictures have now been used against both of them. Steven is threatening Saxe with those pictures to out him. And then Saxe is now turned that around and threatened to crop himself out and use those pictures of Davis to basically get him nailed. So it's just, that whole ordeal was a hot mess. And LaWanda, I think you said it, you know, the two U.S. attorneys working together, it spells corruption from the core. You know, you would never do that in a real life situation. Well, I can't say that it wouldn't be a real life situation, but that should not happen.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show you how that can how it can blow up in your face. And so theoretically, I'd love to see how they write this out, because right now they have nothing. They literally.
I think it's going to be a mistrial.
I think it depends on how Tariq plays his cards, because you know
that's what I
tell Tamika. Everything, the leverage he has over Saxe is that Saxe sent a student to spy on him, who drugged him and got there and forced that recording. So that's the ace up his sleeve that he has.
And you know what? I seen the previews for next week, and when Tariq get called to the stand, he's kind of like grinning,
smirk.
And so I'm like, oh, he know, like Saxe. I love the fact that he knows about Riley, but Saxe doesn't know that he knows about Riley. And so it's like Tariq has a winning hand right now. Not only was Saxe at Truth, not only has he been doing all this shady stuff behind the scenes with following him at the grave site and sending Riley to spy on him and doing all this stuff. It's just like all of this stuff is piling up, and Saxe really thinks he got it in the bag. So yeah. I can't wait for next week.
Saxe is done. And then to have Tamika behind him, and I was glad he told Tamika that, yeah, he was the one that shot his dad, because Tamika, you know, as far as she's concerned, that was a good shooting as far as she's concerned.
And she already knew. She knew Tariq did it.
Yeah, she knew, but I mean, you know, Tamika had no love for Ghost. So I think it's a good thing that she's working with him now. And I can see Tariq coming out of this okay. I can actually see Tasha coming out, because once Tamika put together that these two cabal to try to get Tariq, it's over. You know,
So what,
that's why
what
I
do you
think
is going to happen with Davis though? Now that Tasha knows he's been lying,
he's being outed too.
that's what I'm saying.
Tariq be a
That's
mistrial
what
or
I'm
something, because I think
you got the
whatever Tariq
prosecutor
says
and
on
the
that
defense
stand,
attorney caballing to get somebody else. I mean, this is, I don't even, I don't even know what to call it, but it's so crazy that it has to be a mistrial. What else
an
can you
18-year-old kid too. Like the two of them are conspiring against an 18-year-old kid.
who's
now, LaWanda, I want to ask you a question about this because Tamika was previously Tasha's attorney. Is that a conflict of interest with her representing Tariq now?
The idea would be that the person you represent, they can okay it. They can sign off and give you a waiver that says it's okay for you to represent somebody else. But it depends on whether or not they're in conflict. It's not.
and I don't think they are, because we
Yeah,
got
But they're both being considered for the same trial.
yeah,
I mean,
but
for the
you can't-
same.
but one
crime.
doesn't. Okay, Tariq is not on trial. They're trying to slick. They're trying with the.
I
with
see what
David-
she's saying, because they, you represented the mother, but then the mother, I think if it serves me correct, what would have to happen is Tasha would have to waive that and say that she has no conflict with her representing Tariq.
And I would imagine she'd do that in a heartbeat. But
But I think because he has all the cards in his hand, he has leverage because he knows that Sachs sent Riley to spy on him.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that Sachs was there that night, and I don't know why he would choose not to tell that at this moment.
But it's interesting though. I don't know what the state of New York is in terms of recording someone without their permission, but I'm assuming it's pretty much like it is here in Maryland. You can't do that. So
Well, you can't do that, but if the other thing is let's say he wanted to have Tariq under surveillance, he need a court order to do it. Let's say he got a court order.
right.
He used somebody who's not a sanctioned informant or another, you know what I mean?
A civilian.
Yeah.
He broke so many laws. He violated so many things. And that's why David said at first.
Ethical. And then when you think about it, if Tariq is a murderer, if he is a member of this drug syndicate, you sent your niece?
Yeah.
I mean, it defies all good sense. Beyond talking ethics and morality and what's legal, it just defies good sense. If this is really who you think this kid is, you sent your niece to spy on him?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Off the chain for that.
Yeah.
And I my prediction here, I see Sachs going down, but I also see Davis going down too, especially now that Paula is no longer on his team. She is a woman scorned at this point. Tasha got all up in her ear. Tasha planted the seeds.
Yes, she did.
And
she was right. Look, Angela's gone. Tasha's in the bing. Look, all that lying for ghosts. That's where it got him.
No, and you know what? And I can agree with that. And I'm glad that Paula stepped away from this lying ass Davis. Because, all Davis has on his mind is sex and money. And he don't care who he hurts. And, and so I'd love to see Davis gone. And I'd love to see Sachs right along with him. In fact, they ought to be sharing a jail cell.
Yeah. I mean, it was ridiculous. I think Davis he's really on the outs right now. Paula told Tariq, she said, I want you to take him down. And so I think that she would also help him to do that if she needed to. The problem is with him representing Tasha, how is that going to affect Tasha's trial if Davis...
I really think, this is my prediction, I really think that once Tariq gets on the stand, I think he's going to say something under the coaching from Tamika.
Yeah.
I think he's going to say something that's going to expose both of them. I think it's probably going to end up, it ended in a mistrial or something with getting Tasha off. The only thing I worry about is once Tasha come home, like how long is she going to be home? Because I still feel like, Tasha may die. Either she's going to die, because Courtney said there was going to be a big death this season. We only got one episode left. I was like, it may be Tasha. It might be Zeke, because now Zeke is caught up in all this stuff. Mary.
It might be
But
Monet.
Huh?
It could be Monet.
I said that too. I said to my son, I was like, if we don't see Tommy, I said, could we see Tasha getting out and her feeling safe at home and stuff, and see somebody like 2 Bits take her out and say, this is for Tommy.
Well, I almost thought the big death this week was gonna be Drew, but he pulled through. So I don't know now. It could be Tasha would be a colossal death. She's one of the few people that's left from, you know, being the original core of the show. So it's like that would be major. And where would that leave Tariq then? You know,
well, I think it would be perfect for her because Tasha seems like she wants to get back out there anyway. And certainly she wants to help Tariq. And
I think she just wanted to protect him because he is green.
I know that. I know she wants to protect him, but then, you know, you send him on a kill run. So, you know, to me, you know, I think she still has that game in her. And I think, you know, it's quick money for her. She knows the game inside and out. And I think that if she were able to get out, she and Tariq can control some things.
You know, the irony of all of this is that we're here because Ghost wanted
to get out,
to come forward,
right?
To say what he did.
Right. And it's like Ghost could have still been alive. You could have been out with a slap on the hand.
He might have been.
All of this could have been over with by now. And yet you went through all of this heartache and you still are at the point where you should have taken your father's advice, doing the same thing he told you to do.
I was like, this is the irony of the whole thing. This is what he asked you to do. And you had more of a chance of getting off on that because the guy killed a child. You know, I mean, the odds of you being convicted on that, especially once he was elected as lieutenant governor.
And that, which is his whole point. He said that. He said, once I get out there, you know, get to Albany, I can probably help with.
And we can spin this. We can spin this either way. One, they kidnapped you. All of this stuff. We can spin this story any way you wanted it to go.
But we know what Tasha did. Tasha put that little messed up thought in his head. You know, oh, your daddy wants to send you to prison. No, your father wants to keep you alive, and he knew a way to do it. I mean, it would be very difficult for, I think, a jury to convict you after your twin sister was killed by a thug.
Right.
And you know. And you can, I mean, there are all kinds of mental defenses that could have been brought up on his behalf.
Right.
And
one being self-defense because he killed her trying to kill him.
So
right.
And well, I mean, except that he would have had no reason to be at the man's apartment unless you were looking for trouble. So I can see the prosecution.
No, but he came to the school. That's how Raina got killed. He came to the school dance looking for Tariq.
Yeah, but
and that's how that's what Ron is saying.
I think what Ron is saying, it would have been hard for him to explain why he was in that man's apartment.
I mean, he kidnapped him once before. You see what I'm saying?
You could spin it anyway.
You could spin it any way they want to.
But you don't go looking for trouble. That's the thing. You don't go looking for trouble. If trouble came to your door, that's one thing. But if you go to trouble's door, that's another. So, but even though he did that, I still think he wouldn't have been. I don't think he would have done a day in jail.
He was a minor at the time too. Yeah. He just turned 18.
What all of this is making me realize is that Kane and Tariq are more alike than they think, because they're both killing people that could have helped them in their situations. And they could have both been, you know, back in good graces with their families, moved on, gone on about their life. But the mediator that was there to help them do that is now dead. So they both stuck making these decisions that are leading them back to like the same place they would have been if they would have just listened the first time.
Ghost was right. But you know what hurt the situation too? The fact that Ghost put hands on Tasha. That exacerbated everything, because remember, right before he killed him, he went to Truth and confronted him and was like, if you put your hands on her again, I'll kill you myself. That was foreshadowing. And the fact that, you know, Tasha hyped it up. She saw the bruises, showed him the bruises, and said, your father put hands on me. So most men, you know, your sons, you don't mess with mom. Like you do that to mom, the sons are gonna rise up.
Which is exactly why I think Tasha made a big mistake involving Tariq in that situation. It's not like
absolutely.
It's not like Ghost beat her down, you know, to whereas it would have been obvious. You know, too many things up her sleeve. And so we are where we are because of a multitude of mishaps.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah. Mhm.
It's just that I think that once Tasha gets out, I think she's learned a lot. I honestly do. I think she's learned a lot how to play this game and how to win at it, because she's doing quite well.
They still need muscle. They don't have muscle, even
Well,
if she may have game, but she don't have.
But I think
Tariq
Tasha
is not Kane. Kane will kill in a heartbeat, and Tariq he didn't want to do that to Epiphany.
And
Yeah,
Tariq
he has a conscience.
And I don't think she would. I don't think she'd come out and try to make Tariq a muscle man. I think that you can, they're out there. I don't know how she would do it. I don't know who she'd go to, but I think it would be a lot more interesting knowing what Tasha knows, particularly after being up under Ghost. I think that she would be able to get the muscle she needs and bring in some of these other cartels that you're not just local. And that's what I find so ironic with the storyline here, because everything is local. Whereas with Power, we had all kinds of ways to get drugs, and it's in the same sense. Here, it's either Rico or Monet, or it's just too local for me. So I think Tasha would be good if she can get out and work with Tariq. I think that would be a good mix, and it'd be interesting because I think Tommy might even come back on something like that. Because Tommy does love Tasha.
Yeah.
He did.
He did.
He did. Tasha killed Keisha, and now Tariq has killed Ghost. Like, it's gonna be hard. I don't know.
Well, did you guys catch the previews for next week for the big finale? It looks like it's gonna be a lot of stuff going down. The first clip we seen was kind of Riley and Braden talking, and she was saying Tariq is dangerous, which makes me question whether Braden confronted her about, Saxe being her uncle or not. And so I was wondering if she was trying to explain herself, like Tariq is dangerous or something, like you need to watch out for him. And also we seen, of course, Zeke confronting Carrie about the information she gave to the police and her saying she gonna fix it, and Jabari over there side-eyeing her. So that whole situation is gonna be a hot mess.
Yeah, I think he's gonna find out next week about that.
Well, you seen that he already seen the picture of the family, and so he's seen Drew in that picture, and he put 2 and 2 together, like, oh, okay, so Drew is related to Zeke, so he really is tied into all of this, and nobody knows that he knows that yet. So even if Carrie is trying to play defense, against the police, Jabari on the other hand is gonna sabotage it.
Well, I'm gonna go way out on a limb here. But Riley is a loose cannon. She is expendable, and
she's going.
Yeah, I see. Got to go.
She got to go.
You can't have her hanging around. And it'll be interesting what she and Braden talk about in the next episode, because can I see Braden doing it? I don't know.
No, that gives him skin in the game.
It does.
It does.
Him doing no violence yet. He's been, very squeaky clean thus far. So if he's to be the Tommy type, then he's gonna have to get it together and be the muscle that Tariq needs him to be. There was also
so far he hasn't done anything that his family can't get him out of. So that would give him skin in the game. Really.
Yeah. And also, next week, Diane is warning Tariq to watch out for Kane because he's out of control. So I'm thinking Kane is still on his get back mission to take Tariq out.
And who gets caught in the crossfire? That's another thing I'm still thinking about. Like, what if he comes at I told my son this, and I'm just thinking of all types of things. But I was just like, what if Kane comes after Tariq, and Tasha gets caught in the crossfire, like after she's out,
Yeah. Well, even if you continue to look at the preview, so Kane is in like this all black gear and he's picking up the police badge. So I'm guessing it's Ramirez's badge. But then we also see Monet talking about this seems like a setup, and she gets cornered by a bunch of cops, and they all kind of swarm in on the car that her and Diana are driving. So I'm like, what the heck did Kane do?
Did he set her up? I wonder if he set her up.
It seems like maybe he set her up, or somebody definitely set her up. And there was also a scene where, Monet is talking to Lorenzo, and she's like, he's the problem, but Lorenzo is saying he's also the solution. So I'm wondering, did Lorenzo flip sides?
That's what I was wondering too. I was like, is he saying like make nice with Kane to bring him back in the fold or whatever? I was wondering about that conversation too.
Yeah. And even in this episode, Lorenzo's man that's in the jail, he was the person that helped Tasha get rid of her burner phone.
Right.
And I'm like, we know that that kind of help ain't necessarily help. So I'm like, what kind of blowback is there going to be from that? Like, Tasha doesn't have her burner, so she can't communicate how she wants to. But also, are they going to make her do favors or something to get that phone back? Or is this like the repercussions of calling Lorenzo last week out of line? Like,
Tasha did ask
calling Lorenzo about Tariq.
He did ask. She said she was going to get him.
Right.
He did tell her he was going to get another phone.
Right, because she did ask.
He said that.
Right.
But that's also Lorenzo's, inside man. And Tasha was very reckless with that phone call last week, just calling Lorenzo up.
I don't blame her though.
Like, no, we getting this phone back.
Yeah, but I think
Right.
I still think Lorenzo wants to keep her close, and so I think that he'll orchestrate getting a new phone for her. I think he still wants to keep in contact with her because
I think so
he
too.
really needs that other side of what's going on out there because his people are falling apart, and so he's going to need that other outside window.
Yeah, I can't wait for next week. And I don't know if you guys have seen the Raising Kanan little teaser that's been floating around. But
this summer.
Yeah, we're going to have some more stuff coming out of the Power universe coming this summer. So even though next week is the big finale, it looks like we have something to look forward to in the near future.
Is it really going to be next week? Because in previous years with Power finales, they would like the following week, it would be a week where you catch up. It would be a Power marathon. And then the week after, it would be the finale. So are we sure the finale is next week?
Maybe not, since it's like the New Year's, situation. Everybody might be out partying or doing, well, hopefully not out partying, but celebrating at least, hopefully in the safety of their homes. But you're right, Tiffany. Maybe it'll be in 2 weeks. Who knows?
That's been their pattern. They have always like the week after the week before the finale, they would have a day that they show all the episodes and marathons so you can catch up, and then they would have the finale the following week. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I guess either way, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Me too.
This has been a good season. I know a lot of people have been, I don't know how I'm gonna feel if Ghosted Tommy or not in the show, but I can say this show has held its own.
It has. It's been good.
Mm-hmm.
It's been good.
It has been. It's gotten
And Tariq was on our Get the Hands list every week. And then I found myself at times feeling maternal for Tariq, which surprised me because I didn't want him to kill Epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
And when he, decided to buy her off of her, I was like, thank God. Because, even though we already know that Tariq has already killed folks and everything, there's a part of me that still wants to protect him from going that extra mile.
Right.
And being completely. Huh?
Sorry, did that look like the same house that Keisha lived in?
The house Epiphany was in.
Yeah.
The one, it did look like it.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I'm going to have to look at that again.
So she said that she has this man that lets her stay there. Well, she said some guy lets her use that house when he's out of town with his wife. And so I'm like, well, that couldn't have been Tommy. But
Tommy probably sold it after Keisha died.
Maybe, but that did look oddly familiar. Now that you say that, LaWanda, that was a good observation. I'm about to go back and rewatch now.
Also remember, they're going to use some of the same sets. So,
could be.
Yeah, it's probably, you're probably right. It's just they were hoping nobody picked that up. So we're going to have to put that on a hush.
All right. Well, before we close out, do you guys have any closing remarks about the episode or anything coming up?
Except that it was actually had me on the edge of my seat. I enjoyed it immensely. I think it opens the door to a lot of action on the season finale. Whenever it is, I think it's going to be one that'll keep us at the edge of our seats. So I'm waiting. I don't want to make any real predictions. I think I already made one crazy one, rallies out. So I'm not certain if it'll be.
And that's, I mean, I think that's inevitable.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm thinking it might be the finale.
Okay.
So that's
Zeke
my
might
thought.
not make it either.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in this show, it seems like folks get like this close to their dream and it's snatched away. Like, think about what happened to Ghost. Like, Ghost was like this close and then he was killed.
Oh, I hope we don't see Zeke go that soon. Maybe
I
if
hope
he gets
I
drafted
hope
to
not
the
either,
NBA
but-
or something, like he gets this close to getting drafted and then gets taken out. I think they got to keep him around a little bit longer, especially so that this Carrie situation can play out, because I still want her to get caught.
Oh, she gonna get caught. She gonna get caught. Jabari gonna get busted too.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
All right, LaWanda, you got anything?
I don't know, but I want Laz Alonso to stick around. So.
Hey, we lost the eye candy with Ghosts, so we need Laz to stick around.
Stick around.
Also, y'all, you and Ron are like Bisons. Y'all went to Howard, y'all Bisons and stuff. So did Laz.
We all for Bison working. We're all for
Exactly.
Bison working.
And my reason is different from y'all. So
We know that.
oh, me.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. It's been a great conversation. We hope you enjoyed it. Please drop down in the comments and let us know what you thought about this episode and give us your predictions for the finale. Definitely interested in hearing that. Also, make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel and also click the notification bell so that you get alerted every time we post. We are also on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The Spot Real Talk. So be sure to give us a follow there and we will follow you back. But until next time, I don't know if it's going to be next week or the week after next, but we'll definitely be here for the big finale. So thank you guys for watching and we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
They tryna tell me that I'm good without you. Just stay with the things that make you feel good. But I don't see it saving me. Pretty on a shelf, it's clear to see that I can see right through it. Looking so translucent, being